had to wait. It's been a long day, you guys. Okay, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay online because I am so tired and I'm very exhausted. But I was actually, I hope you can hear me, thinking about, I just uploaded a video with the audio from Josh Duggars' interview that he did back in 2019 with the Department of Homeland Security. And I was thinking about how there are some pretty amazing people out there that are doing thankless work that most of us don't even know about, that are working really hard to save kids. And I got really emotional actually thinking about this yesterday, that there's a whole task force that is dedicated to protecting and saving kids who are victims of crimes of child exploitation online. And I was just thinking about how I have a 9-year-old, and I was like, I can't imagine my son being assaulted and then having that video end up online, and thinking about what kind of ramifications that would be for him, like how overwhelmingly be to him. Not only that, but it's just like the kind of people that would be watching that, like what kind of horrific human being are you that gratifies you? And I just think it's phenomenal that there are men and women that dedicate their lives to doing the really hard work that so many people would never want to do. I was thinking about how these agents in Josh's case, and mind you, Josh's case represents one case. This is like one case. Agent Faulkner has done more than 1,000 of these cases. That means on a day-to-day basis, agents like Gerald Faulkner and Howard Aycock are having to watch some of the most horrific content of children in an effort to identify children, to identify the predators, and to save the kids if they are in captive, if they have been enslaved, if they have been kidnapped, if they have been and then on top of that, imprisoning the monsters that are doing this. And I can't imagine how hard that kind of job would have to be for someone. So if you are someone that knows anyone that works in that field, just tell them thank you. Thank you for protecting children. Thank you for doing the hard work that so many of us wouldn't want to do. And I think of how people get so upset about when you even talk about it. And I thought, gosh, could you imagine if it was your child that was on the internet and somebody said to you, I don't want to hear you talk about that? I mean, put yourself in the position of the parent who has the child who's been victimized not only by someone, but then also it's been filmed. And then that child is being re-victimized every single time that video is reshared in these peer-to-peer networks. It's horrible. And if we as a society can't stomach that and we can't deal with it, then the problems don't go away. I feel like the reason why half this stuff exists is because no one talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's the same thing that happens with parents of children that have, and I'm not trying to say this is about me, I'm just saying people don't like it when children get hurt. They don't want to hear about children getting hurt. People don't like hearing about kids being sick. People don't want to hear when something goes wrong with kids. It doesn't fit their narrative of the happy life that children are supposed to have. And so anytime something bad happens to a kid, whether it's illness or something like this, a horrible, horrible victimization, people just don't want to talk about it because it makes them uncomfortable. But if it makes you uncomfortable, imagine the family that's going through that, and imagine how alone they must feel if everyone around them is telling them that they don't want to hear it. Imagine the that family goes through when they don't have anyone to talk to about it. And then if they do talk about it, people are like, oh, I can't deal with that. That's so heavy. Could you just keep that to yourself? Could you just stop talking about that? That's inappropriate. If it hurts to hear about it and it hurts to talk about it, that's the point. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, it should. You should feel uncomfortable. There's nothing comfortable about what's happened. It's people that refuse to get out of their comfort zone, that refuse to deal with it, that the problems fester. And sticking your head in the sand and ignoring it doesn't make the problem go away. And then telling people to shut up about it just makes victims feel like they can't say anything. So if you're going to follow me, you're either going to deal with what I cover or you can just not follow. Like, there's really no need to consistently point out to people that are trying to spread the word that it's too depressing, or it's too much, or it's too this, or it's too that. Like, no one's forcing you to watch. No one's forcing you to follow. No one forced you to press the follow button. No one forced you to watch that video. No one's forcing you to be here. I just hope that if you're here, you're listening, and you're not here to fight, and you're not here to prove someone wrong, and you're not here to call someone a name, and you're not here to say so-and-so is obsessed or this or that. Like, the point should be about the kids, and the point should be about shouldn't be about what the messenger is telling you about what's happening. If people don't know that there's a problem, nothing can be changed. And I don't think that I'm anyone special. I don't think that I'm anyone better than anybody else. I don't think that I know anything more than anybody else does. But what I'm not going to do is use my platform in an irresponsible way. And I'm not going to just like make lazy content and regurgitate what other people say. I'm going to take the time to meet the people that are being affected, and I'm going to hear their stories, and I'm going to report what I can report, and I'll do what I do. And every day that I try to walk away from, whether it's the IBLP or it's the IFB or it's cult or it's child abuse, I can't. I have tried for years to walk away from child abuse. And I think if anyone knows me, they should know that my platform has always been used this way. I think the first time I ever made waves on YouTube was because I was covering Amber Portwood from Teen Mom. And I was covering her violently attacked boyfriend and child and chasing them with a machete. Like, if that's not covering domestic, standing up for a victim of, I don't know what is. That's what I've always done. It hasn't changed. And I'm not here to be, I'm not here to save people. I'm not here to provide resources. Like, I can't do everything. I don't have the bandwidth to give you guys all the tools and the skills that you need. When I provide a resource, or if I have a resource to share, I share it. I don't get a lot of resources, to be honest. I've been offered, I think, I've told you guys a million times that if you want to learn more about the IBLP, or if you're someone that's considering leaving the IBLP, to really start with Recovering Grace, go to their website, check out all the different things about the abuse that Bill Gothard has put on people, and all of the biblical nonsense and the lies that have been taught through this world. So I can tell you all day long that there's a million resources out there. There's RAIN. There's the national hotline for sexual, which is the RAIN hotline. There's a national domestic hotline. There's a million resources out there. There is Women, Infant, and Children, WIC. There are all kinds of welfare options. There's dozens and millions of women's shelters. There's places where every single person can go. And there's options for every single woman that wants to leave. You have to want to leave, and I can't make anyone leave. I was with a man that was horrible to me for 4 years, and I had to want to leave him. It didn't matter what anyone told me. It didn't matter what anyone said to me. It didn't matter how awful it was. It didn't matter. I had to make the decision, and I had to want to leave. I had to get there myself, and it was scary, and I was very dependent upon him, but I had to want to leave. But what I know isn't helpful, and this is what's been on my heart lately, because even if I'm like frustrated with Anna and I don't understand why she's doing what she's doing, I also do understand what she's doing, because I haven't dated Josh Duggar, but I know what it's like to be in a relationship, and I know what it's like to like not want to see the truth and like live in denial and to not want to admit what's going on. It's way easier to live in denial than it is to actually like see the truth. But I know in the comments and in your so many of you thinking that she's a horrible person, or she's this or she's that, what I know is the least helpful thing that you could ever say to someone in a situation like that is that you're too stupid, or you're not smart enough, or you're not educated enough, or you don't have any skills, you don't have any education, there's nothing that you could do. There's no way that you could support your kids. It's cruel for you to leave your children. It would be cruel for you to get a job. When you start like making excuses for her not to leave, she'll never go, ever. And it doesn't matter. I think people want her to like listen to them, and that if she doesn't do exactly what they say, then they're going to get mad at her. Like, she needs to make up her mind to leave today because it's what you want. And I know how that doesn't work. It's not up to me when she decides to leave. She's already in a relationship where he's in prison, and he's going to be in prison for probably a couple decades. So their relationship as we know it has changed. But to say that she's incapable is it's such an injustice to who she is. And to say that a woman who has 7 children can't work is just complete and utter nonsense. There are mothers out there all day long that have found ways to work. There are zillions of resources out there. And I want to encourage you guys to like think outside of getting her that single interview. Oh, she just talks, she'll be able to leave. You guys, no. One interview isn't going to afford her life. One book isn't going to afford her life. Book deals are not that big these days. And people don't make that much money on exclusive interviews anymore. Unless she's some big time celebrity, like, I don't know, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, then she might get like multi-million dollars from Oprah, but she's not gonna get that kind of money for an interview. She's also not gonna make that kind of money on a book. Like, books don't make that much money anymore. So you need to have like tangible, life altering like work that she can do. It's not a sustainable income to write a single book or do a single video or single interview. And I think it would be disingenuous to say that she should have to expose herself to that. Like, she's already been through so much. What does she owe the public at this point? Does she owe the public anything? Does she have to tell you guys how she's thinking and feeling just because she was on a show? I think not. I think the worst thing to do right now would be to force her to have any sort of public presence. I think she shouldn't start a channel. I don't think she should have a book. I don't think she should write a book. I don't think that she should have a public presence until she can get her life together. I think she needs to be quiet. I think not quiet, just private for her kids. But the reality is that she might not even have a choice, because when I was listening to the audio by Josh, and what I know about this case is that he made statements that made investigators very concerned for his children. And during the interview with the investigators, he said that he kept asking if there was uploading or downloading. And he asked the question repeatedly. Were we transmitting? Were we downloading? Were we uploading? What's the scope? And that repeated question is what concerned the investigators in this case, that something's happened to his children. So they wanted at the time of his arrest to do a forensic interview of the kids. And I talked about this at his conviction, but I feel like it's even more important to reiterate now, and especially if any of the Duggar kids are watching, because I know some of them do watch, is that if she denied the forensic interview the first time and they find something now, she could get in trouble. And that's horrible. Like, she might have denied it because she felt like she had no choice and because Josh was coercing her and made her say that she had to, but she could also be legally responsible if she impeded on and knowingly put her kids at risk and knowingly placed her child in a position where they were abused. So unfortunately, there are mothers that the father gets locked up, the mom didn't do anything to protect the child, an investigation is done and it's found out that the child was abused. The mom interfered in CPS investigating, and then the mom ends up with charges and loses custody. So it's just a sad reality. It's nothing unique to Anna. I'm not trying to say that Anna would be the only person that this happens to. It's simply not true. one of my followers even said that like their own husband got locked up and the same thing happened to them, but they cooperated. And then even when they cooperated, there was pushback that they didn't do enough. So it wouldn't be the fall guy. It has nothing to do with being the fall guy, because if they were to, okay, so I want to explain this. If they were to do an investigation of the children and which they would it's probably been ordered by the court already. So they would do a forensic exam, and the forensic exam would not just include a physical exam. It's also a forensic psychologist that comes in and talks to the kids. And these are very skilled people. They're not horrible. They're not going to hurt the kids. In fact, if the kids have been what's already happened to them is going to be way worse than some doctors and psychologists handling this with the best care they possibly can. And they are very extremely knowledgeable in how to find out if a child has been coached, and they can figure out if a child has been hurt. And they can be extremely sympathetic to mothers. They can also be extremely hard on them if they didn't help and if they knew. So another really, and until we know, we don't know. I think based on Josh's history, there's enough reason to be concerned. Not only that, but the statements that he made to the investigators, there's enough reason to be concerned, I think. But her situation is so complicated right now because she can't really even leave if she wants to, because they don't even know what's happening with the case, and the kids could still be an issue here. And I was actually reading about this because of another story I was following. I was doing some looking up of other people that have been charged and convicted and sentenced recently for similar crimes as Josh. And I noticed that on multiple cases, when they announced the sentencing, the Department of Justice had added that after conviction, investigations had shown that they had assaulted their children, and state charges were added on top of the federal, and they were sentenced to X amount, and they explain it all. So I was reading how not uncommon that is. And it's frankly a pretty common phenomenon that if somebody is involved in this kind of world, that they're using their children because they're the easiest, most accessible child to make the content with. And these file sharing networks that he's part of, you have to contribute to. So they have to share content of their own. They don't just get to be in there by themselves and not share content. So it's an impossible situation for Anna in so many different ways, because she could have gotten involved in it. She could have not gotten involved in it. We just don't know. But when I was looking through the convictions, because I went to the Department of Justice, and you can go to the Department of Justice, or you can check out the local area for convictions or for press releases. They have them, they post them every single day, and there's always one about child exploitation there. So it's sad. Yeah, I don't know what his collateral was. I don't know what it is. I don't know what his involvement in that was, and I don't know if they know yet. I don't know. Sometimes they never find it. But the sad thing too is that in these kinds of cases, these guys, they reoffend. And I was just reading this. I went on to the Western District of Arkansas, and I was on the docket. So you can look on you can go to federal court, you can look at the national specific court cases, right? Or you can go to the specific district, and then in that district you can search their dockets to see what are the indictments that have come down, and what have the recent cases been since this or that. And I found this case, and I can't remember what the guy's name is. Richard, I think, is his first name. He literally is on probation for child. And I apologize if that's not the term that you guys want to use. Unfortunately, that's the legal term of what it's called. So he had two charges of one was production and another one was downloading, and he was sentenced a few years ago to 6 years or something, and he was out on probation, and they already while he was on probation, within the last 6 months, found him engaging in content and creating content and uploading content of kids that he's doing this to. And I'm it has to feel so overwhelming to the people that are dealing with this problem in the legal system, because their sentences are just not taken seriously, and then they go out and they reoffend, and it's scary. And that person, by the way, is in Springdale, Arkansas. So no, so they don't have to agree at this point. Someone just said this. They can share content that like they get from someone else, yes. But in a lot of it, they have to share original content to show that they're serious. Someone said, the parents are asked sometimes. Josh and Anna were asked and refused, and I think the judge ordered it after they refused and he was convicted. Yes. So once a court order is made for an evaluation, at that point, a parent cannot deny it. They can't prevent it. And if a parent declined the interview the first time and they prevented it from happening, the court order can actually prevent the mother or the father, whoever was stepping in the way, to not be there for the interviews. So they can prevent Anna from being in the room when the kids are interviewed so that she doesn't influence them negatively. We won't know about any evaluations because it's not public. So they don't make kid evaluations, like they don't show up in court records. They have they have the devices. So they only found the content on the computer, and that computer was confiscated. So Josh doesn't get his computer back. So yes, the content that was found on Josh's computer on his desktop, that is not returned to Josh. That will remain in whatever evidence forever long that they keep it, and then they destroy it. Kids can get what's called a guardian ad litem, or they can get an amicus attorney, but those attorneys don't actually represent the child. And a guardian ad litem is like a child advocate, but they're not an attorney. And then an amicus attorney isn't actually a child attorney. The amicus attorney is hired by the court to find out what the best thing for the child is and to try to decipher like what kind of abuse occurred. He has to pay fines, but they haven't set the fines yet. I don't know where the kids are gonna go. So I don't think Anna's parents are any better than the Duggars though. If you want the kids safe, you would want the kids out of this cult, and her parents are just as bad as the Duggars. Her dad is a nightmare. If you wanted her out, you'd want her to go with like the kids to go with one of her siblings that's out, but not her parents. I think it would be really, they could end up with one of the siblings, but I think it would be really unfair to put that kind of pressure on Jill or any of the sisters to have to take care of their children. Put yourself in Jill's shoes. Would you want to have to take care of your children because they're your nieces and nephews? I can't see Jill and Derek doing that. Jana has a charge for child endangerment. Why would Jana take the kids? No. Jill has a heart of gold, but Jill also has boundaries, you guys. Jill has boundaries, and Jill has firm boundaries. That's why you don't see photographs of Jill with her family. Oh my goodness. I just don't think we should even be talking about where the kids go right now. I don't want to speculate, to be honest. And then recently there's been a lot of just unnecessary stuff. So I will just address this and then I'm probably going to get off here. But I don't care if Lauren Duggar is pregnant or not pregnant. I don't care. I don't care if Jeremiah and Hannah's wedding is tomorrow. I don't care if Jana has a new boyfriend. I don't care if Michelle wears a skirt that has leggings underneath them. I don't care if Jinger wore a dress that had her shoulders exposed. I don't care at all about the petty stuff or the insignificant stuff. I just don't care. There's plenty of outlets right now that you can go and find that kind of stuff if that's the narrative that you want to follow. But I don't care. I don't care if Lauren is pregnant. Like, who cares? Why is it any of our business if she is? And who cares if can I just say this? I'm getting sick and tired of the Sun tabloid. Every freaking article. Jinger broke Jim Bob's rules and wore a dress. Ginger hasn't been living with Jim Bob in like, I don't even know what, 5-6 years at this point. She's got 2 kids. I don't think we're breaking rules at this point. Like, Ginger's her own woman in terms of like what she wears now. So it's just feeding a headline at this. The Sun's coverage lately has just been ridiculous. And I don't want to talk about if Anna's pregnant again. You guys, the stuff that people speculate on is so, it's ridiculous to me. Anna had a 2 months ago. She's not pregnant. Like, oh my God. I know the jokes are funny and it's like an easy thing to like gossip about, but I don't know. Like someone sent me a photograph of Michelle and they're like, oh, she's got pants on. And I'm like, first of all, no, she doesn't. She's literally wearing a skirt and you're just passing around a photograph of her wearing a skirt over a pair of leggings. And who cares that she's in California? That's a freaking distraction by the Duggars to remind you that they're not mad at Jinger. So they're in California. But do you know who's not in California? Jim Bob. No, the plane crash is real. That happened. If Jinger was really out with her family, she wouldn't be talking to them. So she's independent to a point, and she's compliant as well. If she was truly broken out of this, while she's not a part of the IBLP, she is still being influenced indirectly if she's spending time with her family. The prosecutors they have 2 weeks to respond to the motion. So. And then Josh's attorneys have a week to respond to that. And then the judge will decide. But anyone that is making drama out of Josh's motions and acting like Josh is going to get a new trial is just creating fodder for the internet, because those motions aren't going to go anywhere. I've talked to so many attorneys that have said the exact same thing. They're just part of the process and that's it. Josh is still in protective custody. I don't know if he's getting more time out of his cell or not. I don't know. I don't think that, so Jinger doesn't have like much of a relationship with her dad. I don't think. Google it to see if it's a cult. I can't look, honey. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm so tired. I always say this. I'm like, I'm only gonna be on for 4 minutes, and then I end up like sitting here and anyways, if you are on my YouTube channel, I put up the video about Josh Duggar, and no, this is not going to go onto YouTube. My Instagrams don't go on YouTube. They stay on Instagram. So they're available to watch if you want to watch them. I will be back later. Bye.